Hello and welcome to the video by TrumpExcel. I'm Sumit Bansal, and in this video I will show you 10 ways to clean data in Excel. Here I have the text "Welcome to TrumpExcel" written in 4 different ways. The first one is the regular way with only one space between words. In the second case I have more than one space between words. In the third case I have some leading spaces along with a couple of spaces between words. And in the fourth case I have trailing spaces. You can see there are a couple of spaces after the last word. Now this could typically be the case if you get this data from a colleague or you get it from a text file or import it from a database. So to clean this data and get rid of these extra spaces, you can use the function trim. Trim function takes one single argument, which could either be the text which you type manually or it could be the cell reference. So in this case I would take the cell reference A1. And what this function does is it would remove all the leading spaces and trailing spaces and extra spaces between words except one single space that is allowed. So if I drag this down, you would see that it has corrected all these text. It has removed the extra space here between welcome and to. It has removed the leading spaces and trailing spaces here. Now this is a formula. If you just need to use the text, you can convert it into values by using paste special. I have student names here and their marks in 3 subjects. You can see that there are gaps in this data set, which could be because the student could not appear in the exam. Now you may not want to leave this data set with blanks. You may want to type not appeared in all these cells which are blank. So to do that, you can either go and select each cell manually and type not appeared, but if you have a huge data set, this could be very tiresome. So to do it at one go, select the entire data set, go to find and select this option go to special. This opens the go to special dialog box. You can also use the keyboard shortcut F5, and when you do this it opens the go to dialog box. Here you have special button, click on it and it again opens the go to special dialog box. Click blanks and click OK. This would select all the blank cells in your data set at the same time. So now you have these cells in gray and the first cell is in white because this is the active cell. So to type not appeared in all these cells, just start typing not appeared and hit Control Enter. And as soon as you hit Control Enter, this gets entered in all the cells. Here I have this number 123 entered in 3 different ways. In the first case it is a number. As you can see, it is aligned to the right of the cell. Numbers are always aligned to the right while text gets aligned to the left of a cell. And in the other 2 cases you can see these are text format because these are aligned to the left. Now to convert all these 3 back into numbers, the first one is already a number, but to convert these 2 back into a number, there are 2 ways to do it. The first one is I would go here to the formatting box and I would type general, and when I hit enter, the second one gets converted back into a number because in this case it was merely in the text format. But the third case is a little more difficult because it has been entered by using a leading apostrophe, and a lot of people do this. A lot of people enter numbers first starting with an apostrophe so that it gets converted into a text, and this could create some problems. For example, if I have this number 125 here and if I check for a condition that this number is greater than 123, which it obviously is, so it should return a true. Now I would check this condition for all these cells. Let me lock the first cell. Now I would check it for all these 3 conditions for all these 3 cells, and you can see the first 2 are true, which is the right way, but the second one is false. The reason being that Excel always considered text to be greater than a number. So no matter how big your number is, if there is a text, that text would always be rated higher than a number. And in this case you can see there is an apostrophe, so this is still a text even after changing the format. So to take care of this, let me delete this. To take care of this, a very foolproof method is type 1 in any of the blank cells, go to this cell and copy this. Now select these cells, go to paste special, and this opens the paste special dialog box. Here you have operation category. Within this, select multiply and click OK. So what this does is this multiplies this number with 1, and any number multiplied by 1 remains unchanged, but this also takes care of the apostrophe. So now all these 3 numbers get converted back into a number format. Here I have a data set of students and their marks in 3 subjects, and there are duplicates in this data. So you can see there is a duplicate for Bill and a duplicate for Phil. Now, if you want to remove these duplicate values, there are 2 ways to do it. First is using conditional formatting. So you can select the data set, go to Home, Conditional Formatting. Here you have highlight cell rules and go to duplicate values. And as soon as you select this, it gives you the option to highlight duplicates and the formatting. I'll keep the formatting as a red fill with dark red text, and when I hit OK, you can see that this has been highlighted, and all those numbers and names that appear more than once get highlighted in red. I can manually see that Phil repeats twice and Bill repeats twice, so I can select this data and manually delete this. I'll Control Z to go back. So this is the conditional formatting way. The other way to remove duplicates is by selecting the entire data set, going to data, and here I have the option remove duplicates. I click on this option and it opens the remove duplicates dialog box. Here make sure that if your data has headers, which in this case it has, this option is selected. If this is not selected, then this is also counted as a part of your data, which should not be the case. When you have selected this option, these names are the names of the columns. So I can see that there is a student column, math column, physics column, and chemistry column. I can then select OK to remove all those rows or all the data set which is duplicate. But in this case, it would not remove a number which repeats again. Rather, the entire row has to be an exact duplicate. So for example, Bill and these 3 marks has to meet exactly the numbers and name here, Bill and these 3 marks. And if that is the case, then this row gets deleted. Similar is the case with Phil and these numbers. So now when I click OK, it says 1 duplicate values found and removed, 11 unique values remain. The reason being that in case of Phil, you can see that the marks does not match. So this entire row is not an exact match and hence it remains. But since in case of Bill it was an exact match, then the row was removed. Here I have a data set for 5 companies. I have their revenue number for 3 years and net income numbers for 3 years. And using these numbers, I have calculated the net income margin, which is net income by revenue. Now you can see that there are errors in 2014 data for company B and company D. The reason being that there is no revenue number for these companies in 2014, and hence I get a division error because I tried to divide their net income by nothing. Now this is a small data set and you can visually spot these errors, but if you have a huge data set, these errors could be difficult to spot. So to do that, you can use 2 methods. First is using conditional formatting. So select this entire data set, go to Home, Conditional Formatting, and select New Rule. Within New Formatting Rule dialog box, select Format Only Cells That Contain, and from this drop down select Errors. When you select errors, you would get the option to format the cells which has error. In this case, let me select red and I click OK and OK. And as soon as I do this, all the cells that have errors in it get highlighted in red. Let me Control Z to go back. The other way to do this would be to select those cells which have errors, and you can do this by using the Go to Special dialog box. So to do that, press F5. This opens the Go to dialog box. Here you have the Special button. Click on it. This opens the Go to Special dialog box button. Go to Special dialog box. Here select Formulas, and within Formulas, as soon as you select it, all these 4 options get available. Deselect these first 3 options and only keep the errors option selected, and now click OK. When you do this, all those cells which have error in it get selected. Now you can manually either delete all these cells or type something like not available and hit Control Enter, so that it gets entered in all the cells which have error in it. Here I have names written in different ways. You can see either it could be all caps, it could be all lowercase, and in some cases it's a mix and match of uppercase, lowercase. So to make it all consistent, you can use one of these 3 formulas: lower, upper, and proper. Lower formula takes 1 argument. It could be either the text that you type in, or you can use a cell reference. In this case, if I'll use the cell reference A3. And when I hit Control Enter, this gives me Jane Fonda, the name, but all the alphabets have been converted into lowercase. And when I drag this down, this is the case for all these names. So all these names now look consistent in lowercase. You may want these all in the uppercase, so in that case you can use the formula upper, and you can see these are all in uppercase now as I drag this down. The most used way is proper case because it would keep the first alphabet of your name as in capital, and the rest all would be in the lowercase. So let me show you. I'll select proper E3 and I hit Control Enter, and you can see J of Jane and Fonda, F of Fonda is in caps, and rest all the alphabets are in the lowercase. And now I drag it down. So these are three formulas that can very quickly make your text consistent. This could be the case when you are sharing a worksheet or you get it from a text file where a lot of people enter it in different ways. These formulas can quickly make these consistent. I have these address here in column A, and I want to break these address based on their locality, city and country. So you would see that they follow a consistent format where the locality name is followed by city name and followed by country name. And the separator is always a comma. So there would be locality, comma, city, comma, country. Now if you have your data in a consistent format, then you can use an Excel feature called text to column to get this data in these columns and separate these locality, city and country based on the separator, which is a comma. Now I'll show you how to do it. So you go to data, and here you have the option of text to column. Click on this and it opens the text to column wizard, and it has three steps. The first is to identify whether it's a fixed length data, fixed width data, or delimited. In this case it is not fixed width. You can see the characters, the locality length is different in all these cases, and same is the case with city and country. So I would use a delimited. I would go to next, and here I need to specify the delimiter. So in this case my delimiter is comma. As you can see, all these three things, locality, city and country, are divided by a comma. So it would use the comma to divide these, and you can see the preview here. I would have the locality in one column, city in one column and country in the other column. Now I hit next. In case you have other delimiters, say space or tab or semicolon or any other delimiter, then you can specify that here. Now I hit next, and when I hit next, it also gives me the option to select the format. In this case I want to keep the format as general, but in case you are doing this with numbers or dates, then you can specify that format. Also you need to specify the destination. If you do not do that, it would overwrite this, but it is a good idea to select the destination and do it at some other place. In this case I've selected B2 and I hit finish. Okay, and as soon as I do this, you can see that the locality, for all these address, the locality comes here, city comes here and country comes here. So it's a very good technique to change your data, parse your data using text to column if you have a huge data set and you want to only extract a part of it. While Microsoft PowerPoint and Microsoft Word have a feature where it would underline if there are any errors, grammatical errors or spelling errors, Microsoft Excel does not have that feature. However, you can still run spell check and correct these errors. So to do that, select the data and press F7. And when you do that, it runs the spell check for you. And it is the same thing that you see in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. It would show you the text that it thinks is a spelling error, and it would show you the suggestions as well. So you can change these, and once it is done, it would show you that spell check is complete and you are good to go. If you have a worksheet where there is a lot of formatting and you need to clear all the formatting, you can quickly do that by selecting the entire data, going to home, and here within editing you have this option clear. Within clear you have the option clear formats. You can also use clear all. This would remove everything from your sheet including the content. You can only clear the content, would remain the formatting would remain intact. You can clear the comments and the hyperlinks. In this case, let me show you what happens when you clear the formatting. So click on clear formats, and as soon as you do this, you can see that all the colors including the borders have gone. Now you can simply introduce the borders if you want, and you have your clean data. I'll show you 4 ways using find and replace that can clean your data. In the first case, you can change your cell references using find and replace. So here I have a data set with students and their marks in 3 subjects, and I have these 2 names, Jane and Martha, and their marks in math. So you can see Jane has 69 and Martha has 91. To get this, I have used a formula. So this is an index formula where I take the math column as input and I match the name with column A, and wherever there is a match, it fetches the marks for that column, for that subject. But say for example I need to change this and get the marks for physics. Now this is a small data set with only 2 student names, but if I have a huge data set of hundreds of students and a huge master data set, then it would be very difficult to do this manually. You can do this by using the find and replace feature. To do that, press Ctrl H. This opens the find and replace dialog box, and in find what, change the reference. So in this case I want to change $B to $C. $C. In this case, right now I have the numbers for maths, and hence I want to change $B to $C, and it would give me the numbers for physics. So I go to replace all, and it makes 4 replacements. And now you can see that I have the new numbers for physics. For Jane I have 71, and for Martha I have 46. Similarly, I can make it for chemistry. I could change this from $C to $D. And now when I replace all, it updates these new numbers. You can also use find and replace to find specific formats and change these formats. So to do that, let me show you how to do it. I would press Ctrl H, and this opens the find and replace dialog box. Here I select options, and I would clear these boxes, and here I have this option of selecting the formats. So I would want to find a format. Either I could specify the format I have in mind and then look for it, or I can choose the format from a cell. So let me select a format from here, and it says this is the preview. So this is the format I want to find, and I want to change this format to, say I want to fill these cells with orange, light orange color, and I click replace all, and you would see that instantly all the formats have been changed. So you can also use find and replace to identify formats and change those formats. Find and replace can also be used to remove line breaks from your text. So for example, here I have the address where the locality, city and country are separated by line breaks. You can see that it's the same cell, but they are in different rows. Now to remove these line breaks, select the data and press Ctrl H. This opens the find and replace dialog box. You cannot use Alt Enter to find that line break, but the trick here would be to use Ctrl J. So when you are in the find what box, press Ctrl J, and you can see that there is a blinking dot here. Go to the replace with box and just type a single spacebar and replace all, and this would make all these replacements, and you can see that the line breaks have gone, and now I have the entire text in a single line. Find and replace can also be used with wildcard characters to clean the data. So in this case I have these 5 company names along with a code name in parentheses, and I want to remove all these parentheses and code names. I only want the name of the company. So to do that, I select the data and I press Ctrl H. Here I would type beginning round bracket asterisk ending round bracket. This would identify all those characters which are within parentheses, because asterisk represent any number of characters. So all these code ABC within parentheses would be found by this formula, and I would replace it with nothing because I want it to be completely erased. Now if I go to find all, you can see that it has found all these codes within parentheses, and now if I do replace all, it would quickly replace all these and my data is all cleaned up. So these are 10 quick tips to clean your data in Excel. If there are any tricks that you use, please share it with us. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you and have a nice day.